Good morning. Thank you, Tanya. President Larson, wow, what a president you have here. President Larson. You're right, she's one of the best. She's one of the very best. She's made a real name for herself, but more importantly for Bentley, and it's been an extreme pleasure to come here today, and I want to say hello to the trustees, the faculty, the staff, families who are so dear here today, friends, and most of all, to those of you, the members of the 2011 graduating class at Bentley University. Congratulations. What a privilege to come here and salute all of you. You know, it's through hard work and talent that you earned a right to come here to one of the nation's best and finest business universities, recognized now the world over. Through hard work and talent, you've earned the right now to graduate and say that you're a graduate of this school. And I can just tell you, as I travel around the country, just this last week, I was in Florida with Liberty Mutual, one of the biggest insurance companies in the country. And a man there who was in charge, who had just been appointed to one of the senior positions in the C-suite, a rising star at Liberty Mutual, came up within 60 seconds. He said, "I went to Bentley." And he was really proud of that. And I kept thinking to myself, so many of you will walk in his footsteps in the years ahead. And now you've earned something else that so many others in your generation don't yet have. You're earning a job. And it's to think, more than half of you now have a job or going to graduate school, and within 6 months, it is fairly certain that over 99% of you will have a job or be going on to graduate school. And your parents will be relieved to know not only are you graduating, but you may actually have enough money you don't have to go back home. Gloria told me that the latest numbers find that the average starting salary for a Bentley graduate this year is, compared to the average starting salary nationwide for college graduates, the Bentley salary is $25,000 higher. Think of that. Think of that. So your parents are very proud of you today as you leave here. They are very relieved. They have been loving. You wouldn't be here without your families. And if I may, if we can take a moment for you to rise, turn, and give a big Bentley cheer and thank you to your families. Thank you very much. Now, I won't detain you long today. We do have some research from the Department of Psychology at Harvard that shows if a commencement speaker drones on for much more than 10 or 15 minutes, only about a quarter of the audience continues to pay attention. About a quarter of the audience fights off sleep. And about half the audience, being undergraduates, engage in sexual fantasies. And yes, right here at Bentley. So I won't go on too long today. My message to you today is simply this. You're graduating now, and what we need, what the country needs from you, is to step up and become leaders of a new generation, people who can save America. We need you so desperately to step up and do that. It's really, and Gloria Larson talked about this, I just want to emphasize this again and again. And what we've learned during this past year, especially on the streets of Cairo and Tunis, is that you no longer have to consider yourselves the leaders of tomorrow. You can be leaders today. What's going on now in our society is that there are all sorts of openings that are coming up and beckoning you to step forward at a very, very young age and become a leader right now. Don't think about this as something you've got to wait till you're 40 years old. Do it now. Make the impact now. You know, it was exactly half a century ago. In fact, May 25th, 1961, that we had a son of Massachusetts in the White House, John F. Kennedy. On that May 25th, he issued a call to greatness for America. He said it was his generation that wanted to send a man to the moon, and he pledged that we would do it within 10 years. And the experts scoffed. They said it couldn't be done. The United States didn't have that capability. Russia, yeah, maybe Russia could get there. The United States couldn't make it. You know what? We did, and we did it in 8 years. We astonished the world by what we could do as Americans. And that was the spirit of America. We have always been dreamers in this country. We have always been people who believed that we could climb any mountain. We could conquer any frontier, that we had it in our DNA to be a great people. And we have had so many here in Massachusetts who have been leaders. I don't need to recite that roll call for you today. They go all the way back to the Pilgrims like John Winthrop and come all the way into the current day with inventors and scientists and business leaders who have made this region a vibrant international center for high tech, for finance, for health care, for education, for so many different kinds of fields, industries that you're going to be entering here. But we've had people here in Massachusetts who have helped to build this country year after year, decade after decade. And you, as graduates of Bentley, are the rightful heirs, the heirs of the American spirit and of the traditions of Massachusetts. It's a wonderful place from which to launch your career. But here's the point. As you graduate this morning, there are growing numbers who worry that the American spirit is fading, that somehow we're drifting into decline. With reason, many people worry today whether our political leaders have the courage and the wisdom to help climb out of the hole that we're digging for ourselves with our national debt. The federal government today, for every dollar it spends, and you will know this from accounting and finance here at Bentley, how important this is. For every dollar we spend in the federal government, we have to borrow 40 cents. 40 cents on the dollar. And China has become our single biggest creditor. With reason, people worry about whether we can create enough middle-class, well-paying jobs in the future. In the 1990s, we created over 20 million new jobs in this country. In the last 10 years, we've created less than 2 million new jobs in this country. People are worried about that, as they should be. With reason. People worry whether we can close this gap, this equity gap, between those who are rich and everybody else. At the very moment that Wall Street is sending out new bonuses in the millions of dollars, 40% of the new babies in this country are eligible for Medicaid. 40% of the new babies in this country are eligible for the program for the poor. Think about that. The bonuses versus those babies. With reason, people worry about the education of our children. You know, here, we were the #1 country in the world for most of the 20th century in education. And now, by most standards, we've slipped internationally 10th, 15th, 25th. You can pick your survey. But here's what's interesting. Massachusetts is the highest performing state in all of America. And we should be proud of that. We should be proud of that. Massachusetts is the highest performing state in the country, but Arnie Duncan, the Secretary of Education, has shown me the numbers, and if you break Massachusetts out and treat it as a country and compare it to other countries, you'd think #1 in America is a state, well, we must be #1 in the world. 7th or 8th compared to all other countries. 7th or 8th. Shanghai, by contrast, as a city, #1 in the world and blows everybody else away. That's what we're competing against. And people wonder and worry about where we're heading. When you were born, America was supreme. Scholars said that not since the days of ancient Rome had any people been as powerful as we were in terms of our economics, our military, our politics, and our cultural influence. And yet, by the time you reach the age of 30, the International Monetary Fund now says that China is likely to pass us by as the #1 economic power.